A man is observed engaged in a phone conversation with a certain Mr. Park, while unwinding with a group of individuals on an unidentified island beach. Distressed over financial mismanagement, the man on the beach threatens to expose the corrupt Park Mujin. As an impending storm looms, an unidentified object descends from the sky and initiates an attack. A helicopter pilot flying nearby finds the island crushed by a colossal hand, while Mr. Park proceeds with his plans undisturbed. In the past, Jin Mori was nurtured by his grandfather until he started school. Upon awakening from a dream of this memory, Mori is horrified to realize he has overslept. He cycles through the city like a madman, narrowly missing an elderly woman. He is eager for the upcoming martial arts contest, dubbed the God of High School. The initial matches are being held at Seoul's Cordia Arena. Han Dewey, a local who just finished his night shift, is among those anticipating the competition's beginning. Meanwhile, Miss Humor requests directions to the arena from a group of martial artists who didn't qualify for the tournament. She appreciates their strength as they admire her beauty. On his journey to the arena, Mori grows hungry. He learns of another elderly woman robbed by a rebellious motorcyclist. Assessing the situation, he decides to retrieve her handbag and insists that the motorcyclist stop. Mori keeps pace with the rider but accidentally collides with Mira's face while in pursuit. As Mori tries to depart, Mira counters with her sword. After understanding the situation, Mira pardons Mori and joins his mission to capture the thief. They locate the biker, and just when they're about to apprehend him, Mira crashes into a street sign. Thinking he's evaded capture, the biker is shocked when Dewey appears, punches him off his bike, and ends the chaos. Mori, Mira, and Dewey arrive at the arena just in time for the preliminary rounds. The upcoming regional qualifiers will determine participants for the next phase of the tournament, set to begin in a month. Nana McCain's devices attached to contestants enable the tournament staff to monitor their vital signs and assess their physical prowess. The announcer instructs the contestants to start fighting, leaving many of them puzzled. They soon understand that the preliminary rounds are a free-for-all battle, and the strongest fighters distinguish themselves through superior techniques. Among the victors are Mori, Dewey, and Mira. At the same time, Mori allegedly engaged in combat with the commissioner who recruited him and injured him. The same commissioner observes Mori's fight and declares that everything is proceeding as expected. The other commissioners allow the infamous gang Mancha to join the conflict late, assuming his defeat due to his violent history. Despite her best efforts, Mira cannot defeat Gang in combat, even with her bare-handed moonlight sword style. However, Mori intervenes to take over the fight. Mori, Dewey, and Mira have all advanced past the first preliminary round, and as they prepare for the next round, they discuss their reasons for joining the tournament. The day of the tournament, one of the favorites to win, Gang Mansiak, squares off against Tai Chi user Go Gando. Meanwhile, the U.S. President and Park Mujin discuss the mysterious island that was crushed by a giant hand. After the first preliminary round, Mori, Dewey, and Mira discuss their motivations for participating in the tournament while walking home. Mori, curious about Mira's sword, accidentally drops it into a river, injuring Mira. As she searches for her lost sword, memories of the moonlight sword's importance to her resurface. Mori returns with a flashlight to assist in the search, and a bond of friendship forms among the trio. The second round of the God of High School begins. The ultimate winner will qualify for the National God of High School tournament. The round consists of one-on-one fights. Tension builds between Go Gambo and Gang Mansiak when Gambo tells Mansiak to leave Mori alone, leading to a swift kick from Mansiak. Mori enters the ring abruptly to stop Mansiak from further injuring Gambo, and successfully kicks Mansiak out of the ring. Mori is stopped by the commissioners for interfering with another match. Flashbacks of Mansiak's past reveal a mysterious figure granting him power, which he is unable to use. Despite this, Mansiak attacks again and Mori fights him using renewal taekwondo. After knocking Mansiak down, Mori is held down by Nugent as he returns to Korea, watched by a mysterious cult. Mori is nearly disqualified until Mujin recognizes Mori's grandfather, Jin Ta-jin. Meanwhile, Mira defeats an American female wrestler, Mei Mizan, who entered the tournament in search of men for her harem. Mira unveils her family martial art, a style that can slice flesh using only fingers. Mori learns he can continue in the tournament if he beats one of the commissioners. Unexpectedly, Mira is approached by OS, a successful businessman and martial artist who proposes marriage. Surprisingly, Mira accepts. Believing that marriage is the only way to secure the future of the Moonlight Sword, Mira is ready to sacrifice her happiness. Dewey feels it's not his place to intervene, but Mori, believing Mira is making a mistake, decides to stop her. Mira finally realizes she's making a mistake and calls off the wedding. Despite being defeated by Mira, the businessman escapes with the Moonlight Sword. However, Mira believes she no longer needs it. The The episode concludes with a dramatic shift to Dewey, who watches as his friend dies, significantly changing his perspective. Transitioning from his stoic demeanor to a more savage character, Dewey first pummels the bullies who mocked his friendship. His brutality does not cease there, with Mira being his next victim, a display that stuns everyone, Maury included. The fight with Dewey striking Mira's previous injury ends swiftly with the intervention of the referee as Mira lies bleeding on the ground. As Dewey strides past Maury, he asserts, "See you in the finals." Mira is anticipated to recover thanks to the Monomachines' healing abilities. Dewey's supposed-to-be dead friend is not dead after all, but barely clinging to life. Dewey has always aspired to gather enough money to support his best friend, Woosunt, who is struggling with a terminal illness. Their friendship blossomed from continuous fights, a cause Dewey no longer remembers. The spotlight now focuses on the confrontation between Maury and Dewey. Maury first tackles Bai J. Heath, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu expert, and defeats him effortlessly. If there's one problem I have with the god of high school, it's the lack of engaging fights. Despite Dewey's severe assault on Mira, she holds no resentment, possibly because her wounds are due to heal. However, she acknowledges their limited knowledge about Dewey. The Maury and Dewey fight ensues as an all-out brawl, with the battle being more evenly contested than anticipated. Maury recollects the aftermath of Dewey's fight with Mira and swears vengeance. After striking Dewey with his triple kick and knocking him down, Maury extends his hand to Dewey, but Dewey declares that he never considered Maury or Mira as friends. Meanwhile, the heartbreaking news of Woo's death reaches Dewey, prompting him to unleash a fury of attacks on Maury. While attacking, he recalls his agreement with the administrator to clinch victories in the semifinals and the finals. Park Moo-ball manipulates Dewey to see what Maury can offer. However, when Park informs him about Woo's death, Dewey appears to lose his zeal to fight. Park intends to unveil Dewey's true identity by revealing Woo's death, a plan which is interrupted when Mira steps in to deliver a letter from Woo to Dewey. The letter's content rekindles Dewey's spirit, leading to a spectacular, visually stunning battle that Maury ultimately wins with his Blue Dragon kick. A mysterious figure refers to the tournament as mundane, leaving us to wonder if other tournaments are on the horizon. The Dewey-Maury fight plays out as predicted, but with dramatic shifts in the art style near the end, making it challenging to distinguish between the two. As the plot introduces new characters and raises the stakes, the Nox organization enters, assassinating 2 members of the God of High School organization. As Park Moo-jin calls for the elite group of fighters, the 6, we catch a glimpse of Jin's grandfather's prowess as he defeats several men from Nox. The most intriguing aspect of this episode was the reveal that the referee, Shim Bong-sa, was blinded by the Moonlight Sword. The anticipation of him becoming Mira's master is quickly extinguished by his off-camera murder by a Nox assassin. The National High School Tournament begins with Group A, where our trio Team Seoul is pitted against a team from North Junction. The format is simple, a one-on-one fight with the first team to score 2 wins proceeding. Jin fights first against Na, but his attempt to enhance his attacks through new pressure points backfires, leaving him paralyzed and defeated by Na. This defeat signifies that we cannot assume Jin will emerge victorious in every match. Elsewhere, Nox assassin Drake McDonald brags about his murder of Judge Q, only to have his arms severed by Key's chariot Joker. Simultaneously, Dewey faces off against Jin Peng Wang, a 38-year-old high schooler, and dominates him with powerful attacks. Despite Peng Wang's chariot, Thor's hammer, Dewey defeats him with his blue azure dragon. In the meantime, a fierce battle ensues between Judge Q and Drake, with Q severing Drake's other arm. However, Drake's chariot, yet the caterpillar, rejuvenates him. Q remains undeterred and continues his attack. The battle is interrupted by the arrival of 2 intruders named Priest Exley and Priest Saturn. The fight between Mira and Jang Jiangji ensues, both armed with wooden swords. Realizing Mira's superior swordsmanship, Jang unveils her chariot. Meanwhile, Judge Q and Saturn continue their fight, with Q gaining an advantage over Exley. We then return to Mira and Jang's fight, where Mira uses the Moonlight Sword style No. 23 Wind Willow and wins the match for Team Seoul. The judges and priests battle ends with the priests fleeing and Drake's head exploding. Park suspects a mole in their organization given the secret nature of the administrator's addresses. News of Jin Taejin's disappearance arrives as the second match begins, leading to a brutal encounter between Jiggle Tuck and Jan Jugak. Subsequent matches unfold with Park Sungga taking on Naon Gundo and winning, followed by a decisive fight between Park Ilpio and Gwen Gui. Despite some harsh banter from Guy, Park declares his victory and unleashes his aura in an attempt to intimidate Gui. Despite the failure, Park uses his Takken skills and chariot to deliver a striking blow to Gui's face, securing his victory. Mori recognizes a logo on Park's back similar to a military symbol his grandfather used to wear. They discuss the tournament's ongoing events and their need to become stronger on their way home. However, as Mori is already more robust than Dewey and Mira, he might not require additional power. A meeting between Park and Mori ensues where Park reveals that he wears the jacket to honor Mori's grandfather. Flashbacks reveal Park's past, including his father's death, his mother's abandonment, and his encounter with Jin, who offered him a book of Taekyen's secrets that changed his life. Mori receives a letter with an image of his captive grandfather, sending him in a frenzy to find him. The tournament proceeds to the quarterfinal stage, but with Dewey suspended and Mori missing, the team faces a dilemma. The match is announced to start in 5 minutes, putting Mira and Dewey in a tight spot. If Mori fails to appear, it will be an automatic forfeit, and the match between Mira and Lee Marin, a dark-skinned, bald man who battles in a thong, will commence. Simultaneously, Mori finds an empty warehouse where he believes his grandfather is hiding. Mira, on the other hand, has trouble landing direct hits on Marin due to his tanning oil-covered body. Marin tries to suplex Mira, but she counters by hitting him in the stomach. Abruptly, Marin's teammate throws Mira's sword into the fray, leading to a sword fight that ends with Marin breaking Mira's sword. Marin then reveals the true nature of the sword, a metal representation of the yin and yang symbol at the junction of the blade and hilt, referred to as the national treasure function, a weapon of divine origin. Mira temporarily seizes the sword, but it teleports back to Marin, its rightful owner. As Mori attempts to rouse his grandfather, he discovers he's been deceived. The man is a decoy that explodes. The mysterious man responsible apologizes to Mori, claiming his intention was merely to prevent the awakening of a powerful entity known as the Key. Undeterred by the explosion, Mori rises to his feet. Meanwhile, Marin impales Mira in the stomach, and Dewey, another participant, engages in combat with a member of the South Gyeong Sing team. This woman is an eccentric fighter who dresses similarly to Bruce Lee's character in Game of Death. Their fight is interrupted by the arrival of Jiggle Tuck. As these events unfold, Mori learns about the murder of the real Jeju teen by an organization called the Nox. Despite the pain, Mori activates several pressure points on his body to numb the sensations. At the same time, Mira finds herself cornered but refuses to back down, only to be struck down by Marin's finishing blow. As she falls, she hears the voice of the great hero Lubu Function, who grants her his power, transforming her into a chariot. In response, Marin summons his own chariot, Kraken, but Mira evades its attacks and lands a decisive blow using her Fang Ti and Huajai, defeating Marin before collapsing. As the battles rage on, Park Mujin and the Nox organization are revealed to be seeking the Key, a powerful entity believed to have the capacity to challenge the gods. The Key is in the possession of Park Ilpyo, a noble fighter inspired by Mori's grandfather. In a series of flashbacks, we learn that Ilpyo wishes to use his power to heal his cousin, left paralyzed by Jiggle. Mori's grandfather, Jin Ta-jin, had instructed Ilpyo to teach Mori a few lessons, which he does during their semi-final match. Through the course of the fight, Mori manages to adapt and overcome Ilpyo's tactics, using techniques he learned from Mira and Dewey. Just when it seems like Mori might stage a comeback, he appears to be defeated. However, this seeming loss triggers his transformation into the Key. The question now is how Ilpyo will cope with being targeted. Concurrently, there are battles between Nox's Sang Mandat and Park Mujin, a performance by the 6-member Seal Hallian Music Ensemble, and the arrival of a deity through a sky portal. All these scenes are portrayed with stunning visuals and are packed with action, accompanied by the rhythmic beats of Hallian's taiko drum corps. Throughout these events, the tale of the Nine Tails is told. Originally a fox spirit that ascended to heaven and gained immense power over a millennium of training, it came to serve as a guardian for the deity. Fearful of its power, the deity tried to kill it, but the Nine Tails retaliated, wreaking havoc in heaven before fleeing to Earth, vowing revenge. The story then shifts focus back to the ongoing conflict between Jin and Ilpyo, who now possesses enhanced abilities. Jin soon learns that Chariot is not about borrowing someone else's power, but harnessing one's own body and mind in the fight. Ilpyo summons numerous fire foxes for battle, seemingly calling forth a thunder-wielding deity. Despite the intense fight, Jin emerges victorious, using a whirlwind attack. Meanwhile, Park Mujin suspects that Mandiak is preparing something elsewhere, and indeed, Jan Jugak transforms into a demon-like creature that consumes others to gain strength. As chaos ensues, the Key finally appears, and it's a scramble between the 6 deities, Agent and Jin Mori, to secure it. Jin emerges victorious and receives the Key from Ilpyo, who instructs him to keep it out of Jiggle's reach. However, Jiggle appears and demands to know where the Key is, threatening to kill Mira and Dewey. What follows is a tense battle where Mira and Dewey engage Jiggle using their respective chariots. Despite their efforts, Jiggle defeats them both. As the threat of a nuclear attack looms over Seoul, Jin and others face off against the resurrected deity. Jiggle consumes the key and transforms into a deity himself, and it's up to Jin, Dewey, and Mira to stand against him. Jin eventually ascends to godhood, revealing himself to be the Monkey King, a figure heavily influenced by Sun Wukong. Using the Nuobo, Jin dominates Jiggle and lands a powerful lightning strike. In the aftermath of the battle, our trio gets what they wish for. Jin wants to heal the fighters' bodies, recover sight, and Tice's memories, while Ilpio, the keeper of the key, sets off to gather every component. The story concludes with the revelation that Jin's grandfather is still held captive by the Nox. This marks the end of our recounting. Join us for the next part. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.